The most important thing for you to do when you're looking at a PEMF device, if somebody's trying to sell you a PEMF device, and they're not a doctor, they're a salesperson, right? The first thing you got to do is ask, what's the intensity of the magnetic field? Intensity matters. What's the intensity? If they can't tell you the intensity, would you buy a car if the salesperson wouldn't tell you the horsepower? Duh. So intensity matters.
Welcome to the PEMF Effect, where breakthrough science helps take control of your health. I'm Dr. William Pawluk, and I'm here to guide you in tapping into the power of PEMF therapy for recovery, vitality, and total body wellness. From overcoming chronic pain, optimizing brain health, boosting energy, and aging with strength, this podcast is your path to cutting-edge solutions for lifelong well-being. If you're ready to move beyond symptom management and tap into your body's natural healing ability, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Today's episode is a previously recorded session from a summit where I was a guest speaker.
Welcome back. We're continuing our conversation on reversing Crohn's and colitis. I'm your host, Sinclair Keneally, and I am joined today by the wonderful Dr. William Pawluk. He is a holistic doctor near Baltimore, Maryland, and has held previous academic positions at Johns Hopkins and University of Maryland. He's trained as an acupuncturist, in nutrition, herbals, energy medicine, homeopathy, hypnosis, bodywork, and so many other therapies. But he's become beloved in our community for being the crusader for PEMF technology. And he has demystified this for a whole new generation of folks trying to heal themselves from chronic illness. And he is considered the foremost authority on PEMF therapy in North America. He is interested in holistic pain management, and he's such a joy to learn from. This is why I wanted to have him on the summit for you, so you could learn about a whole new technology that can really help you take your health into your own hands. He's very interested in new solutions to stubborn, chronic, and frustrating health problems. He wants to try to resolve the cause of the problem and not simply put a Band-Aid on it. Most conventional treatments for pain rely on numbing and dumbing, and that is so true. And they simply take away the perception of pain better, but they don't actually heal the cause. And Dr. Pawluk has actually become an expert on resolving the root cause itself. So to this end, Dr. Pawluk has worked with magnetic field therapies for 30 years and established an authoritative website, drpawluk.com. That's drpawluk.com. And he's authored 2 comprehensive books on healing with magnetic fields called Power Tools for Health, and this year, Supercharge Your Health with PEMF Therapy. So to help promote healing with PEMFs, he's done well over 50 radio, podcasts, magazine, and TV interviews combined. He's also been the co-host of a 2-hour holistic health radio show in Baltimore for 10 years. Podcast interviews have included Dave Asprey and Ben Greenfield. Radio interviews included a 2-hour session on Coast to Coast. So welcome, Dr. Pawluk. We love having you on our summits. It's such a joy to have you here.
It's my pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk to Dr. Keneally.
Thank you. So I just want to dive right in because lucky for us, you actually are very familiar with the topics of Crohn's and colitis and how those relate to PEMFs and PEMF therapy, right? So before we dive in, though, I want to make sure the audience is coming with us and really understands what is PEMF therapy and what is the difference between PEMF and EMFs.
All right, let's get the elephant out of the room.
Yeah.
So EMFs are environmental magnetic fields. I call them environmental magnetic fields. They're electromagnetic fields, but they're environmental. Mm-hmm. Environmental magnetic fields are broadcast into the environment. Doesn't matter who's in the way. What's in the way, who's in the way, and it doesn't matter where it's going. It's just out there, right? So it's broadcast, and it's broadcast for communication purposes. And unfortunately, humans get in the way, right? So, and the reason that it's a problem is because it's microwaves. Mostly it's microwaves, and microwaves are absorbed by the body. And because it's absorbed, microwaves cause damage. That's the purpose behind a microwave oven, is to heat something, right? You heat internally, you heat it, but we don't want that. So we want to try to avoid it as much as we possibly can. And we may have to do something to help ourselves to heal from it when we do get exposed to it. And part of that has to do with the dose. So we won't get into that. That's a whole series of discussions about that. But PEMFs, pulsed electromagnetic fields, are produced by current flowing through a wire. So my thumb is the is the line that has the current in it. And my fingers are the magnetic field. Every time a current pulses through a wire, it produces a magnetic field. And it doesn't matter whether the wire is shielded or not. There's a magnetic field produced. So that's a law of physics. It's basic law, scientific. It's electromagnetic. And so what happens is the magnetic field is controlled by the current. It's controlled by the wire. So as the wire pulses, the magnetic field at the same time pulses out and comes back. Pulses out and comes back. It's controlled. It's not broadcast. It's pulsing through a wire. And because it's pulsing, it's still subject to the laws of magnetic fields, which means it basically goes through everything. And even if it hits metal, it doesn't go through the metal, but it bends around the metal, right? So it's still going. It's just not going through the metal. But the body, unless the body has metal in it, typically the body is totally transparent to a magnetic field. Has no resistance to a magnetic field. So essentially the magnetic field is just going like this, whether your body's there or not. And I've actually done measurements. I've actually demonstrated this to people that I can have a magnetic field detector and put the magnetic field on, say, the back of the body, to have the detector in the front, and then I have the body move in and out. No difference in the detector. Completely transparent to the magnetic field. And that's a good thing. So think of it this way. The magnetic field then is like the wind.
Oh,
you can't see it,
metaphor,
but you know it's there because it's moving the leaves and the branches, right? And the more aggressive, the more powerful the wind is, the more movement there is. And that same principle applies to magnetic fields. The more powerful they are, the more movement there is. So a weak magnetic field is going to do almost nothing in the body. And it has to, if it's too weak, it's probably not penetrating very deep into the body. And ideally, for most things in the body, you want to be able to penetrate as deep as you need to do the actions that you want, right? So if you don't get the right equipment, then you're not going to get the action that you want or need, right? So getting the right equipment is important. So that the power of that magnetic field, the pulse, the amount of voltage going through that wire or current going through that wire determines the strength of that magnetic field. Critical.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to explain it. So then what can PEMFs do for us? Like, what are the basic actions of healing that are kicked off with PEMF therapy?
How much time do we have?
Do your best. I know you know too much, but
all right, I'll keep it simple. In my Supercharge Your Health book, I outline 27 different actions of magnetic fields in the body.
Oh.
And Power Tools for Health book has all the references. So I have references for all of these actions. I have scientific references to go with every action. So what that means is that the magnetic field is causing the body to do something. This is an important principle. It's not the magnetic field that's doing it. So for example, increasing circulation. It's not the magnetic field that's increasing circulation. Decreasing inflammation. It's not the magnetic field. It's the body. All the magnetic field is doing is producing more energy in that body. It's causing the body to produce more energy. And when the body produces more energy, it does whatever it wants with that energy. Right? If you need circulation improvement, well, it'll do it for circulation. If you need decreasing inflammation, it'll take that energy and use it for inflammation. So essentially, this is nondescript energy. It's just energy. And then the body says, okay, I could use an improvement in circulation, or I have a wound. I just cut myself, or I broke a bone. Well, what do I need to do to repair this? Because the body marshals all of its resources to deal with the wound. I call it cell injury. So at a basic cell level, it's any injury to the cell that causes the cell to have to react for the body to heal that damage, that injury. And you can talk about a cell, you can talk about a tissue, you could talk about an organ, or you could talk about the whole organism, the whole body. It doesn't matter. The body's taking that energy and using it for whatever it needs to do at that moment. Now, when you break a bone, the first thing you have to do is to stop the bleeding. Right? The second thing you have to do is to reduce the swelling. The third thing you have to do is begin to initiate the healing process to recover that damaged bone, that broken bone. Now, that process takes a lot longer than improving circulation, decreasing inflammation, and so on. So all these things are kind of happening simultaneously to varying degrees, but the body decides. The good thing is we've given it a nondescript, safe, non-toxic stimulus to do that.
Are you tired of living with chronic pain? Medication only masks the symptoms, but real healing starts at the cellular level. I'm Dr. William Pawluk, the leading expert on PEMF therapy. Pulsed electromagnetic field therapy is a science-backed, drug-free solution that helps reduce pain, speed up recovery, and improve overall health, right from the comfort of your home. Take advantage of an exclusive 10% discount on drpawluk.com PEMF systems. Visit drpawluk.com, that's drpawluk.com, to register and claim your savings. This limited time offer is available only to registered listeners. Don't miss your chance to experience the benefits. Terms and conditions do apply. Don't just manage pain, transform your health. Visit drpawluk.com today and let's get started on your healing journey together.
You know what I think is so magnificent about this field of work for people with really difficult digestive conditions is that we get into a catch-22 as the practitioner and also as the patient or client trying to heal, where what you need, you have to get outside support into the body somehow. But what you're trying to heal, this compromised digestive tract, is the most vulnerable right when it's not able to actually absorb support from the outside world at the biochemical level. So it's very difficult to just supplement your way or eat your way into healing a digestive condition as serious as Crohn's or colitis. And that's why we've seen so much tremendous progress with integrating things like PEMF therapy into the mix, because you're literally giving the body energy that it's starving for to reactivate the healing processes. Is that right?
Yeah, so think of it this way. You can't build a house without bricks and mortar. You can't remodel a house without tearing out the old stuff. And then you need the supplies to build the new stuff. But not only do you need the supplies to build the new stuff that you're trying to build, you need the resources to be able to build it. You have to have the supplies. You have to have the capacity of that body, that house, or whatever you're trying to build itself. In other words, you're going to need workers to do this. You're going to have a plan of some kind. So you have your genetics, you have all the tools that the body uses to build things and to break things down and repair and recover. So if you're doing bone, for example, you need at least 3 elements for bone. Number one is you need to break down the bone that's there already that you want to get rid of, right? That's called osteoclasts, right? Then you need to build a new bone. But in order to build a new bone, you need to have the minerals. You need to have the blood supply. You have to have the basic nutrients to build bone. But once you've built it, that's not enough. Having the nutrients is not enough. Now you need to solidify those nutrients. You have to put them in the right order, in the right sequence, and have them move in the right directions, and the right pacing, in the right processes, and so on. So the magnetic fields that basically provide the energy for this system. So think of building a house, you need tools, right? So you either need power tools or you need hand tools. If you use hand tools, it's going to take a lot longer. And a big gust of wind comes by and you're still in the middle of using your hand tools, well, you may have a problem. You may have to back up and repair and start over again. If you have power tools, you can do it much faster, much better, and much stronger. So magnetic field therapy are the power tools that our body then uses to do what it needs to do.
That's a great metaphor. Yeah, that makes total sense. So I've already given it away that we use PEMF therapy in our clinic, in our practice. How do you see PEMF therapy helping those who suffer from gut health issues?
All right, I think that's a really important question. First of all, you have to get rid of the causes as much as you can, right? I mean, if you're pouring gasoline on the fire, there's no point pouring water on the fire. Stop pouring gasoline on the fire. Right? And then you can put the fire out with the water, and then you can do the repair work after that to repair the damage from the fire. So get rid of the causes if you can, as much as you possibly can, or at least minimize, right? And we talked before we started about food sensitivities. So it's a big area of interest that I had. When I was a practicing family physician, I didn't know what that was except for peanut allergies or anaphylaxis, right? They start to dig into this and you realize that small amounts of different foods cause all kinds of inflammation. And when you put those foods into the gut and the body's reacting, saying, I don't like this food, right? Then that's inflammation. And then the body has the damage from it and so on. So you've got to remove the causes as much as you can. Then you repair. So PEMF therapy doesn't remove the causes, but it decreases the burden on the body. And 1 plus 1 doesn't equal 2. It could equal 5, 10, or 1,000. So if you got a little bit of this food and a little bit of that food, they don't individually cause much of a problem, but you put them together and now you've got a big problem. In some cases, a peanut allergy. You can have a single allergy, but what does that peanut allergy do? It causes a cascade of events. So leaky gut, right? I love leaky gut. I'm sorry, I don't want you to love leaky gut. We want to get rid of your leaky gut. But what's leaky gut? It's inflammation, right? And that food does not belong inside that gut wall, right? It has to be broken down, and the basic nutrients, the basic chemicals of that food need to be absorbed, so they're not harmful. But you absorb a whole piece of protein, like a peanut, into that gut wall, and all of a sudden the body says, no, get out of here, stop, you can't do this.
All the rules. This is not supposed to be here.
And that causes inflammation, which then, what happens then is now you start to get allies coming in at the same time. Things that were not going to be a problem for you now become a problem for you. And once they get in, then the body says, you don't belong here either. So it started with a food with peanuts. It ended up with milk. It ended up with beef. It ended up with carrots. It doesn't really matter. Whatever happened to have gotten in that shouldn't have gotten in, now the body says, you're an alien, you're dangerous, I'm going to fight you. Problem with leaky gut then is that sets up a vicious process, right? So you have to slow down that process, heal the gut so no more leaking happens. But in the meantime, you still have that sensitivity. Once you've turned that immune system on to that food, it's a problem. Because anytime you encounter that food again, and your gut's leaky. So how often is the gut leaky?
Right. Constantly.
Essentially, you can never get rid of it. Yeah. Now, the whole gut's not going to be leaky all at once, and it's not going to be like just a completely open window to wind and water, right?
Right. But from the perspective of your immune system, you're always getting this distorted, over-inflamed response, and you cannot get ahead of that. Yeah, it's really difficult to break that cycle when you're in it.
So you can stop the leaky gut by doing things to decrease inflammation. Inflammation is the key here, right? It's the key. And magnetic field therapy is classic for reducing inflammation. And there's a lot of research about it. In my book, Supercharge Your Health, I talk about adenosine and how research has shown that 15 Gauss of magnetic field intensity, Gauss is Gauss, that's the intensity of the magnetic field. That's what you need to optimally decrease inflammation at the site of the inflammation. But magnetic therapy is like light and sound and heat and cold. It drops off very rapidly as you move away from the source. So that means you have to account for the distance that the field has to go to give you that 15 Gauss. So if you only have 15 Gauss, if the machine only gives you 15 Gauss, it's only going to work right there at the surface. Mm-hmm. But if you need to go deep into a belly, throughout the whole belly, you don't know where in your gut you're going to need help. So basically, you have to cover the whole belly. Then with an adequate magnetic field to decrease inflammation optimally. You decrease the inflammation, you decrease the responses, the allergic responses, the inflammatory responses, the edema, the decreased circulation, the decreased oxygen. The gut has actually been found to have very low oxygen levels at times. And inflammation is a major cause of that.
Absolutely.
Right? If you don't have oxygen in the tissue, then what do? You can't bring nutrients to it. You can't provide the energy for repair and regeneration.
Right.
Right. Also, we don't think of the gut as oxygen.
That, a lot of pathogenic species thrive in low oxygen environments. It's very difficult to
have. Exactly. They're anaerobic. Right. So it does so many different things all at one time. Safely.
What I appreciate too about PEMF therapy, doing it this way, is that you don't have to be able to tolerate, for those who have advanced gut issues like Crohn's, like colitis, the game becomes with your practitioner, how much can I tolerate of the very thing my body craves as a repair element, and yet I simply cannot withstand ingesting it at this time. And it becomes a big drama throughout your care. And the thing about PEMF therapy is it's literally outside in. You don't have to ingest it. You don't have to subject your gut to distress in order to get the reduction in inflammation so that your body can finally start to return to repair and excretion of irritants and, you know, reestablishing those exquisite rules of what is allowed inside the gut and what is allowed to, you know, transfer beyond it through the gut lining.
Well, if you heal the gut right away, right, then if you decrease the inflammation, the healing process begins right away. The body's capable of that. But the magnetic field therapy stimulates that process too, because it's stimulating stem cell production. It's stimulating ATP production. So energy production in the tissues and the cells, increasing oxygen in the tissues, improving circulation in the tissues. So it does all of these things like rapidly, very, very quickly. So if you have a leaky gut and you're starting to treat yourself with magnetic field therapy, you'll notice a difference within days.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we've seen that over and over again. That's a great point. So help people understand, if they've never done PEMF therapy before and they have an advanced gut condition like Crohn's or colitis, what should they be looking for in a PEMF device, and what would an example protocol be for them?
Very good. And that's critical. So there are devices. The most important thing for you to do when you're looking at a PEMF device, if somebody's trying to sell you a PEMF device, and they're not a doctor, they're a salesperson, right? The first thing you got to do is ask, what's the intensity of the magnetic field? Intensity matters. What's the intensity? If they can't tell you the intensity, would you buy a car if the salesperson wouldn't tell you the horsepower? Duh. So intensity matters.
You're asking the wrong person, because I don't care about cars, but
but you want
that
car to be able to
fast
move
it will
when
go.
you want it to move. So yeah, you don't, as long as it's not 5 horsepower. If it's 200, you have certainly more than you need. If it's 150, you're doing pretty good too.
Okay.
So you need the intensity, and the intensity has to be a minimum of 15 Gauss. But again, the distance has to be calculated. So I have a blog on my website about adenosine, and I have tables that show you the distance, the intensity of the magnetic field you need to treat deep. So if you have to treat through a whole belly, and you need to deliver 15 Gauss through the whole belly, you're going to need probably at least 4,000 to 6,000 Gauss.
Okay.
To deliver 15 throughout that whole area.
So does that make sense, everybody listening? Like, we have to get deeper into the tissues, because the intensity of the magnetic field needs to get deeper in, so we can actually cover the surface area of the gut that's so difficult to reach deep within.
And it goes through the whole body. It goes through all the cells, all the organs. It doesn't matter how the gut is lined up and how shape it's in. It goes right through all of that right away.
So from there, once they've selected the correct device, how do you suggest that people begin to use it? Should they ease in? Does frequency matter? Length of time matter? How do we look at that?
Very, very, very important. Let's deal with the question of frequency. The magnetic field frequency doesn't matter. It matters a little bit, but not much. It matters more if you have too high frequencies and you don't adjust the intensity for the frequency. But most of the time, the devices that we're talking about, we don't care about the frequency. The people who are selling very low intensity devices talk about frequency because they can't talk about intensity. Right? So they talk about frequency.
Yes, I know exactly the sales pitch you're referring to. I really hope nobody in the audience has one of these, because it's such a waste of money. Yeah. Okay. Very good.
So time then becomes important. If you have the right intensity of the magnetic field, then the amount of time becomes important, because the time determines the amount of healing that's going to happen in those tissues. Remember, all these processes are set up somewhat sequentially in the body. You don't want to go too high too fast, because it's going to cause the body to have to work. The body has to react to it. The body has to do the work to repair things, to reduce, to improve the circulation, to decrease the inflammation. The body has to do that. And so you have to respect the body's ability to do that. You can't sort of all of a sudden, if you don't know how to swim, is it a good idea to jump in the deep end of the pool? I would say no.
Well, uncomfortable. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you go low and slow. And I have protocols in the Supercharge Your Health book, and on drpawluk.com. There's a protocol there about going low and slow. So you have to test the body. The body's going to tell you what it can tolerate. So for a lot of people, I could say they could do a normal protocol. And fortunately, that works for them. But if it doesn't work for you to do the normal protocol, there's 3 protocols: slow, normal, and fast. Right? So if you can tolerate the normal protocol, you're good to go. If you can't tolerate the normal protocol, then you back off and you go slower, and you go less intensity and less time. Right? So you pace yourself based on your body's reactions. And very often your reactions are going to be slower, and you're going to use lower intensities at the beginning because the body's too damaged. has too much work to do. And then as you start to heal, then you can go faster and faster and stronger and stronger. Fortunately, magnetic field therapy doesn't cause problems. Magnetic therapy reveals problems. So if you're having a problem with magnetic field therapy, you're doing too much too fast.
Your body was designed to heal, but illness, chronic disease, stress, injury, and time can slow that process down. What if you could restore your body's natural ability to recover, recharge, and feel its best? The key to healing is giving your body the energy to repair itself. PEMF therapy does exactly that, recharging your cells, improving circulation, reducing inflammation, and helping you function at your best. For decades, I've studied this technology, worked with hundreds of medical professionals, and helped thousands of people reduce pain, regain energy, and take control of their health. However, not all PEMF devices are created equal. No one size fits all. We offer personalized consultations so you can find the right device for your needs, backed by real science and trusted results. If you're ready for a real solution, let's talk. Schedule a consultation at drpawluk.com. That's drpawluk.com, because real healing starts at the cellular level.
It makes total sense, because what is the body going to do with energy when it's been starving for energy for a long time? It's going to try to catch up, but it might be doing so at a pace and a rate that's uncomfortable for you, and maybe producing a little bit of,
reactions.
Yeah.
And often if you could tolerate the reactions, you can just keep going. But, it's not a good idea. You don't want to force the body to do too much too fast. So listen to the body. The body's going to tell you. I can't tell you. You can't tell that body. We have to test it. We have to, like athletes, you get an injury, you treat, and then you test to see if the treatment worked. If it doesn't work, then you back off and you treat some more. And then you test again. And then you increase the testing and you increase the treatment time as the body tolerates more and more and more, until eventually you're basically in maintenance mode. Now, maintenance mode, we have about 100 trillion cells in the body. We have about a million biochemical processes per second per cell. So how much treatment should we have?
24/7? No. Let's see. What was that?
Yeah, that's a question, isn't it? Because some processes are fine and they're working okay by themselves, and some processes are a little slower than they should be. So we don't know how much we need. At the very least, if you can't, it's not a magic pill. You have to understand the physiology of the body and how the body works to repair itself and recover. If you understand that, then you pace yourself according to how your body's responding, and your body's going to tell you how fast you can pace. It's also going to tell you that you back off too soon, because you'll lose ground.
That's an excellent point, because your body's still working to resolve the root causes. So not only does it have this repair work to do once you can finally get some relief and reduce inflammation, but you've got to stay consistent. One thing I noticed when I began PEMF therapy when I was very, very ill was that I had a perceived decrease in energy. And I felt more fatigued for the first few days, and I was probably doing too much. But what I decided, the meaning I made out of that was like, oh, my body is busy going deep within, doing the work. I'm just going to stay at this pace. And then what I saw was this inflammatory, I was thinking of it as excess weight, but it was really just like, the gastro-associated lymph tissue is just like so swollen from all this inflammation around my intestines. And I just saw that literally melt away over the days of using PEMF therapy. It was really like a period of several weeks, because my body was finally able to let go of this inflammation, and really had something to do with it, had the energy to actually do that work.
If you have a lot of inflammation, you can't make as much ATP.
Mm-hmm.
Any injury requires a lot more ATP production. And so that injury is damaged, so it can't make the ATP that it needs. So what you're doing then is you're pushing the body to make ATP, but it can't make enough to keep up with the repair, the demands and repair, the needs for the repair process. So that's why you get fatigued with it. You also get fatigued because the magnetic field therapy increases oxidative stress. You need to have oxidative stress. If you don't take a breath, you don't have, you're going to have problems from not taking a breath, but taking a breath causes oxidative stress. So we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. We have to find a balance.
Antioxidant-based processes and oxidative processes in the body. Everybody's bought the marketing about like antioxidants in your supplements and your skincare and stuff like that. We need both, guys. So just
absolutely need both. And the one conditions the other. The one strengthens the body, teaches the body, I need more antioxidants. Let's make more now because I just improved my circulation and I got more oxygen available. And I can do more with those tissues because I have oxygen available, but it creates oxidative stress. So now the body has to make more SOD and catalase, right? So to keep up with it. That's why these processes have to be done sequentially and relatively reasonably paced.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? So if somebody's brand new to PEMF therapy and discovering and evaluating, is this right for me? And, how should I proceed? Which of your books is the better one to start with?
If you want to geek out, if you want the science, the Power Tools for Health is the science. Actually, the Power Tools for Health is a companion book, essentially, to the Supercharge. You could do just fine with the Supercharge Your Health book. But if you want the information about why and how, a lot of that's going to be in the Power Tools book. That's the science. I have 500 references in that book. I have no references in Supercharge Your Health book. So if you want the references, you need the other one.
Got it. Perfect.
Right? So Supercharge is going to be good enough for most people.
Yeah, makes total sense. And I also just want to encourage everybody listening. There's a lot of marketing out there today, and Dr. Pawluk has been helping us to demystify some of the, snazzy marketing terms. This is a hard field to wade into, and we want you to be the CEO of your own health, which means you get to be very discerning about the investments that you make. So please check out drpawluk.com because he's a really trusted authority in this, and he will lay it out for you piece by piece. And he also only endorses devices that actually work and are medically worthwhile. So stay away from the multi-level marketing people. Like just back away from all that stuff. If it's an Instagram ad, that doesn't mean that it's safe and ready for use. So please go to the doctor and learn more from him, because this is a deep field of work and it is phenomenally transformative as one layer in your protocol, in your roadmap to health. So please consider it, because we've seen phenomenal results, not just for ourselves personally, but in our clinic all the time.
So we offer consultations, free consultations for people.
That's right, you do.
Who need help deciding. Now, if all you want to spend for your health is $25, don't bother. If you're not willing to take care of yourself and spend the money that you need to spend to get the right equipment, and it's not cheap, but to get the right equipment, you may want to be guided as to what the best equipment is for you. And if you don't get the right equipment, then you're going to have to sacrifice things. You're going to have to decide what you're willing to give up in terms of benefits and treatment time and so on. So consultations then become very helpful for this.
Yeah, I agree. That's wonderful. And what a generous offer from you and your team. That's great. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise. I just love that. I did one of those consultations with you back in the day. I remember hiding in my car to do it so that my employees couldn't hear me talk about how sick I was. I know. It's a long time ago. So
I'm glad you're so vibrantly alive today.
Thank you. Well, yeah, you got to do the work, right? But it's absolutely possible. So I really appreciate your contribution, Dr. Pawluk. It was wonderful to see you as always. And
likewise,
so
it's a pleasure.
Thanks for joining me on the PEMF Effect. I hope today's conversation gave you new tools, insights, and inspiration to take control of your health. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could benefit from PEMF therapy and holistic healing. Your body has the power to repair, recover, and thrive. Sometimes it just needs the right charge. Until next time, stay curious, stay proactive, and keep powering up to better health.